Okay, so the game is set in a world called Alrest, which is kind of like Earth, but the ocean is made out of clouds instead of water, and the countries are all giant floating turtles that people live on called Titans. There's also a world tree in the middle of everything that apparently leads up to this place called Elysium, which is like heaven, and apparently everyone used to live there, and God just kicked them out for some reason. Also, the Titans are all dying, and the sea level is rising, so things aren't looking too good. Also, 500 years ago, there was this guy who climbed the tree and stole these 2 core crystals, and then he activated one of them, which started like a whole war between the 2 blades of the core crystals, which are called Aegises. And shit, now I have to explain what blades are. Blades are basically these creatures or people that are born when someone activates their core crystal, and the people that awaken them is called their driver. There's a bunch of other shit about them, like if their driver dies, they return to their core and lose all their memory, which is it's pretty much the only important thing you need to know. The game doesn't actually tell you all this until a bit later on, but I think it's better to just get it out of the way so that I don't have to explain it later. You play as Rex, a young salvager who dives into the ocean to find valuable stuff to sell, and Rex lives on his grandfather, who's not actually his grandfather because he's a Titan, but he calls him Gramps. So one day the chairman of the trade guild that Rex works at hits him up and goes like, "Hey dude, I heard you're pretty good at salvaging. How about I pay you 100,000 bucks to go on this extremely shady job that you will also literally know nothing about?" And Rex is like, "Okay." So you go on a mission with these 3 characters, Jin, Malus, and Nia, and explore this big ass ancient submarine together, and there's this door with a weird symbol on it, and then Jin's like, "Open that door," and Rex is like, "Oh hell no, I don't know. Open that goddamn door!" So you open the door, and ta-da, it's one of the Aegises from the war 500 years ago. So obviously Rex is like, "Whoa, what the hell is this?" And Malus is like, "Don't touch that sword, kid. Don't you fucking touch that sword!" Huh? So Jin fucking kills his ass, and there's like no blood for some reason. Rex then wakes up in the title screen of the game, and he's like, "What the heck? Why are we in the title screen, Pyra?" This is Pyra, by the way. And Pyra's like, "I want to go home to Elysium, and also you're dead." So Rex agrees to take Pyra to Elysium, and Pyra gives Rex half of her life force. So Rex comes back from the dead, and then he bursts off the submarine and fights Malus, but then he gets beaten up, and then Pyra gets blasted in the back, and then Nia's like, "What the hell? You're just beating up a little kid," and he tries to defend you, but then she also gets blasted in the face. This is still chapter 1, by the way. And then Grandpa shows up and saves them, but he gets shot and crash lands onto a Titan called Gormott. So now Grandpa is dying, and Rex is like, "It's gonna be okay, Grandpa, you know, I got some herbs with me." And Grandpa's like, "Listen, Rex, I'm not a doctor, but can you see there are literally 3 harpoons piercing into my neck? I don't think your herbs are gonna save my life." So they do a fake out death for Grandpa, and then he becomes small, like, okay, whatever. Rex then finds Nia, who also crash landed nearby, and she agrees to help him get to Torgoth, which is the main city in Gormott. But upon reaching town, Nia gets arrested by the Ardanian Empire because the people you were working with on that job at the start of the game are actually terrorists. What the heck? So now you gotta go rescue Nia, because even though she's a terrorist, she's like kind of your friend because she helped you, and in the process piss off every member of the Empire in Torgoth and infiltrate their battleship. You also meet Tora, who agrees to help you find Nia, and also has a sex robot. So Rex and Tora break Nia out of the battleship and encounter Morag, who is basically the Ardanian Emperor's right-hand woman, who is more important later on, so just remember what she looks like. Rex and the party manage to barely escape, and Rex kind of sits everyone down and goes, "Listen, the Titans are dying, and people are gonna go to war over land, so we gotta find Elysium and protect Pyra, because people are gonna try to use her as a weapon, and I need your help." And everyone just kind of says, okay, for no, they don't really explain why. So after acquiring a ship, the party sets sail towards the world tree, but giant snake blocks the way, so they try to turn back, but get swallowed by the Urayan Titan, which is like another country. After escaping from the Titan's belly, the party meets this big dude named Vandam, who is a really cool guy who saves war orphans. So after doing a bunch of irrelevant shit, Vandam agrees to bring you to his friend in the Urayan capital, who apparently knows how to get past Big Snake. Before you leave for the capital, you fight Aegis, who is part of the terrorist group that Jin and Malus are in called Torna. And okay, honestly, you don't have to care about that part. Like, everyone in Torna besides Jin and Malus are not important at all. So now we're gonna go all the way across the entire country to meet Vandam's friend, Darth Sidious, who is like the dark side of the Force. Anyway, Darth Sid's granddaughter gets kidnapped by Malus and Aegis, and the party gets their ass beat, and also Vandam gets killed. So now we're really fucked, like, oh man, like, how are we gonna get out of this one, right? Well, it turns out Pyra is going to quite literally go Super Saiyan and force Malus and Aegis to retreat. After everything settles down, there's like a shit ton of exposition, and turns out Pyra's Super Saiyan form is actually another person named Mithra, who was like her original form that fought in the war against the other Aegis, who was actually Malus 500 years ago. You also find out that Torna and Malus have the same goal, which is to destroy everyone and everything, and then climb the world tree, and then kill God. So now we gotta go find that guy who climbed the world tree, and Darth Sid is like, "Now you will experience the full power of the dark side." Also, you gotta go to Indol now. So the party goes through Mor Ardain, which is the home of the Empire, and helps Morag with an investigation involving Tora's father, and she decides to tag along with them to go to Indol. You also pick up Zeke, who is like this guy who keeps randomly harassing you throughout the game, but he's not actually like a bad guy because he's kind of a goofball, but he works for the people in Indol, so he goes along with you as well. Okay, good. We're already in Indol. So you meet Amalthus, who was the guy who climbed the world tree 500 years ago, and some shit happens. Jin tries to start a fucking war between Mor Ardain and Uraya, so you put a stop to that, and after that Amalthus is like, okay, now you gotta go to Tantal, because the thing you need to control Big Snake is over there. Also, Morag decides to stick around with you because after seeing everything, she's like, yeah, actually these guys are pretty cool, and you know, they saved the Emperor's life, so, you know. Okay, so now the party is in Tantal, which is Zeke's homeland that he got kicked out of, and also he's the prince, I forgot to mention that, so they go meet the king of Tantal, but the king is kind of a cuckoo, you know, a little bit cuckoo crazy, so, and he decides that it's much easier to just destroy Pyra and Mithra and be done with everything, so now you gotta break out of jail and beat up everyone in the kingdom to save Pyra, but the giant laser beam they were gonna use to kill her is actually the thing that lets them control the Titan that they're living on. So now you gotta go all the way to the Titan's head to fix the Omega Fetter, which is also the thing that will let you get past Big Snake. But ding dong, it's Torna and they're here for the Omega Fetter too, so Jin beats everyone up and takes Pyra and the Omega Fetter away. So now we're really fucked, like we literally traveled across the entire world and basically accomplished nothing. And Rex is like, I wanna go home, and everyone's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Anyway, the king talks to you again and he tells you there's actually a special Aegis sword that was sealed away somewhere by Adam, who was the hero who used Mithra in the war 500 years ago. So now you're gonna shimmy on over and grab that real quick and then head on over to Moritha, where Pyra is being held. So you beat up Malus and Jin with your newfound power, but Big Snake and Mithra's Gundam start fighting and destroy the whole place, and you fall deep into the Cloud Sea into the land of Moritha. And hey, look who it is, it's Jin! So since you guys are both fucked, Rex decides to work together with him temporarily, and he also tells you some shit about how Amalthus is a piece of shit that ruined his life, and that the real reason he climbed the world tree was to become God. Okay, anyway, Jin gets rescued by his Torna friends, leaving Rex and the party to climb the world tree through this conveniently placed entrance. Meanwhile, Amalthus is like, yeah, I actually feel like being a bad guy now. So he fucking declares war on everyone and starts flying towards the world tree. He also has this big tower thing that lets him control other blades and titans using a core crystal that he implanted in his head. Okay, so anyway, Amalthus is a bad guy now, and he wants to kill everyone, including Rex, and become God. And like, he had this plan to use Rex to defeat Torna or some shit. I don't even fucking know why he didn't just kill Rex to begin with. His plan makes no fucking sense. Anyway, you continue to make your way up the tree, you run into Jin, you beat him up one last time. Amalthus pops in afterwards looking like the fucking juggernaut, so you beat him up too, and Jin decides to believe in Rex and sacrifices himself to defeat Amalthus. So after that, Rex heads up some more and finds Elysium, which turns out to be a piece of shit and nothing like the paradise he thought it was, and he starts hallucinating about everyone in the party getting mad at him for dragging them all the way to this hellhole for nothing. And then he meets God, or the architect, who turns out to be a human named Klaus, who destroyed Earth by accident a long time ago and created Alrest to try and atone for it, but eventually gave up on it because he lost faith in mankind. But after seeing Rex and his party's actions through Pyra's memory, he decides that, you know, the world's not that bad, right? Also, he's about to die because he's got split in half, and then he's like the Xenoblade one, the bad guy, and Shulk killed him. Okay, whatever. So now it's time for the final fight against Malos, who is trying to use this giant robot called Ion to destroy the world. So you beat him up, and then Rex talks to him and finally breaks him free from Amalthus' influence before he dies. Okay, but now Klaus is dead and nothing is holding the world tree together anymore, so it's gonna fall into the atmosphere and destroy everything, and the only way to save everyone is for Pyra to stay behind and use Ion to blow the whole thing up. So, you know, there's this really sad scene, like she tricks everyone into escaping without her, and then Rex gets really sad because he loves her. So everyone except Pyra gets into the escape pod and they leave her behind to destroy the world tree while they go back down to Alrest. And once the party comes back, they see that the Cloud Sea is gone and that the Titans are all joining together to make this new big continent, which was what Klaus did to save Alrest right before he died. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, you know, I guess Elysium was here the whole time. And then the credits roll, and then after the credits, the Pyra and Mithra come back because the core crystal gave Rex their inside, so okay, the end. Hello, it's me, I'm the guy, you know, I made this video, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm just here to tell you that this recap is actually part of a much longer video that's made by this kind of crazy guy who also happens to be me. So if you liked listening to me lose my shit trying to explain the story of this crazy ass game, then you might also enjoy listening to me talk about what I liked and also didn't really like about the game as a whole. So maybe go check that other video out, right? Okay, anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Thanks.